let's find out, what are the 4As and how do they serve the podcaster who's listening?
I love frameworks, Adam. And I think this is the thing. I've got 5 Ps and I've got 4 As and I've got all these different things. But, I do this kind of stuff so that I can remember how to roll through different trains of thoughts and thinking procedures that I've needed along the way. And, when I look at the 4 As, and this one's the 4 As of accountability, and they are assess it, address it, align it, and assign it. And when you're thinking of something, and, putting most of the coaching that I do is around business owners. But it doesn't matter whether you're setting this in a podcast framework or setting it up for your business or whatever the case is. What we're doing here is we want to transfer accountability to someone else, because either we don't have time to do whatever it is that we are thinking about here as we're putting this framework into play, or we don't want to do it anymore. Both are reasonable reasons of aligning and assigning accountability to someone else. But in order to do that, we need to first we'll just pick one. We'll pick editing and post-production.
Cool.
And so when you look at that, if we run the 4A model, assess it, address it, align it, and assign it. So assess it. Well, if you're assessing this, and you have already just done that in your talk here, and saying, hey, it's taking me 12 hours to do this. It's going through all of this stuff. And, some people might love that piece of their podcast because they have that background and that's the kind of thing they really like to do. That's okay for them. They might want to offload something else, but they might want to offload the marketing, for example, like we talked about. So we need to assess what we're good at personally, what's the best use of the time, and what I call the stuff that we want to either love it or leave it. And if you love it, do it. If that's how you want to spend your time. If you want to leave it, here's the next thing, right? So we need to assess where that piece of the puzzle is in relation to the time and the money that it takes and all the other things, all the other pieces of the puzzle here. Now we need to address it. And we're going to address it and saying, and addressing it sort of on a scale. If I want to have this professional, how much am I going to need to do? If I'm okay with lacking a little bit of the professional side of things and putting out something that's maybe not as good as if I paid a professional to do it, or if I'm just going to literally record a conversation and throw it out there, there's the addressing of that. So we're addressing and assessing all the time, all these different things that we have on our plate. And the best place to start is literally for your podcast, for anybody who's listening. Just write down all of the things that you personally are accountable for. And if you're accountable for every little single thing, then what you want to do is you want to start looking at that list, and you want to start making a little list of what you love on that list and what you don't love on that list. That's the best place to start, especially for that solo podcaster that's doing it all themselves. They're marketing the stuff, they're clipping the stuff together, they're putting the video content together, running it through whatever AIs you have. Because, when you look at that kind of stuff, you can outsource to a company, you can outsource to an AI to do certain pieces, right? There's Otter, there's ChatGPT that can help you with show notes and all this kind of different stuff. So you don't always have to outsource when we get into the align it and assign it piece of the 4As. You don't always have to outsource to a company. It just depends on a lot of different things that are uniquely yours. And that's sort of like budget, audience, all these different things that we're going to look at from the podcaster scale. And so we assess and then we address and we look at those kind of things and then we align it. And when we align it, we're saying, okay, like I said, now I'm putting another filter on it, and aligning it is, if I align it into, for example, I have a few different businesses and we have a lot of different people involved in those businesses. So I have people that work on marketing for my shoe business. But for posting different content and things like that, they can be posting different content for this business because it's the same sort of type of job that they're doing. So I can align that within my accountability chart within the people that I have to actually do that piece of the puzzle instead of me doing that piece of the puzzle as my podcast with my podcast hat on when I already have people in place. Or whether we use an outsource partner like your company or any other sort of marketing company that's going to do this piece of the puzzle for you, we're aligning what it is that we don't want to do and putting it into place so that we can assign the accountability, which is the last piece, right? So we've assessed it and addressed it, all gone through all these different things that need to happen. We've aligned it either within our internal frameworks of who we have available, and who we have could also be, like I said, automations and different things like that are going to help us through the piece of the puzzle. And then we're going to assign accountability. So even if I was assigning accountability to, I don't know, ChatGPT for show notes, for example, and I'm just going to finish off the rest of the stuff, then basically that piece of the puzzle's assigned to that facility. Or if I'm going to assign to a copywriter to do that, that's fine as well. But all of these things need to go through some thinking procedure for you to actually assign accountability, because the ultimate goal when you assign accountability is that you want to relieve yourself of the time that it takes, the frustration that it takes, all of the decision making that it takes to get through and overwhelm you. And so you're not going to pod fade, right? You're going to carry on because you're doing the things that you truly love to do. And let's face it, Adam, most of podcasters, we get into podcasts because we like to talk, not because we like to do all that other stuff.